In June of 2020, two auditors walked into a bank in Manila looking for 1.9 billion euros. The money belonged to one of Europe's most valuable tech companies, a firm worth more on paper than Deutsche Bank. It was supposed to be sitting in two escrow accounts, safe, confirmed, audited, but the money was not there. It had never been there. The documents were forged. The accounts were fake. The money did not exist. Within days, a 24 billion euro empire collapsed. Its celebrated chief executive was arrested and his deputy simply vanished. This is the story of Wirecard, the fraud that fooled a country and the journalists they tried to destroy. It begins in 1999 near Munich. A struggling startup processing payments the banks refused, gambling and porn. The dot-com crash nearly killed it. Then, in 2002, an Austrian consultant named Markus Braun took over. Black turtleneck, rimless glasses, grand speeches about a cashless future, a one-man Steve Jobs impression, and smart people bought it. In 2005, Wirecard slipped onto the stock exchange through a back door, buying a listed shell company. No scrutiny. Like clockwork, revenues up, profits up. Strange acquisitions across Asia at puzzling prices. The secret sat with three tiny partner companies in Dubai, Manila, and Singapore, supposedly earning nearly all of Wirecard's profit. All that cash was held in faraway trustee accounts, where nobody from head office and no auditor ever quite looked. Forged contracts invented profits, while the real business quietly lost money. Germany wanted a tech champion. In 2018, Wirecard entered the DAX 30, kicking out a century-old bank. 24 billion euros. Braun, a paper billionaire. One problem: a London journalist kept asking where the money came from. Dan McCrum of the Financial Times began pulling at the numbers. The more he pulled, the less added up. Wirecard's response was not a press release. Short sellers were followed, critics were hacked, and journalists were put under surveillance. The dirty tricks were run by the chief operating officer, a smooth Austrian named Jan Marsalek. Remember him? A whistleblower inside the Singapore office found forged contracts. He was forced out, so he gave the journalists everything. January 2019, the story published. The stock crashed. And surely, now, the German authorities would investigate Wirecard. Wrong. And banned betting against the stock. The message was clear: this company is untouchable. In 2020, a special audit found years of profits it could not verify, and cash it could not find. So the auditors demanded the banks in Manila confirm the 1.9 billion directly. The answer came in June. Forgeries. One bank said Wirecard was never even a client, and a quarter of the balance sheet did not exist. The stock fell 99%. Braun was arrested, and Wirecard collapsed, the first bankruptcy in the history of the DAX. And Marsalek? He told colleagues he was flying to Manila to find the money. Immigration records even show him arriving. The records were fake. He boarded a private jet at a tiny Austrian airfield, flew east, and simply evaporated. In 2025, a British court convicted a spy ring directed by Marsalek from Moscow under a false identity. Pension funds lost 20 billion. Everyone assumed somebody else had checked. The numbers were fake. The money they spent was real.